You'll understand when you're a mother, my sister Kate smirked from across our parents' dining room table. Oh wait, you're not one yet. The casual cruelty in her voice made my hands shake as I gripped my water glass. I'm Emily, 34, and I just discovered my parents had emptied my adoption fund to pay for Kate's fourth round of IVF. We had to make a choice, Mom said, reaching for Kate's hand. Your sister needs this money now. You can still have children naturally, Emily. You're just being stubborn about adoption. I stared at the bank statement in front of me, the account balance mocking me with its zeros. 10 years of savings, nearly $45,000 I'd carefully set aside, gone without my permission. All because my parents were still co-signers on the account I'd opened at 24, when my first adoption attempt fell through. You had no right, I managed to say, my voice steadier than I felt. That was my money, my future. Dad cleared his throat, straightening his tie the way he always did when he was about to deliver what he thought was irrefutable logic. Kate's biological clock is ticking, princess. She's already 32, and they've been trying for 3 years. Your adoption plan can wait. Can wait. Like I hadn't been waiting my whole life to be a mother. Like I hadn't spent years coming to terms with the fact that pregnancy wasn't an option for me after the accident at 16 that left me unable to carry a child. Like my dream of motherhood somehow mattered less because it didn't involve passing on the family DNA. Besides, Kate added, absently rubbing her flat stomach, this time it's going to work. Dr. Marshall says my chances are excellent. You'll be an aunt soon. Just like the last 3 times we're going to work. I thought but didn't say. Instead, I stood up, gathering my things with shaking hands. I have to go. Emily, don't be dramatic, Mom sighed. We're family. Family helps each other. Family helps each other, I repeated slowly. Is that what you call stealing my adoption fund? Helping. We didn't steal anything, Dad protested. We're co-signers on that account. It was a joint decision. Joint between whom? I asked. Because no one consulted me. Kate rolled her eyes. You're being selfish. This is about bringing a new life into the world. A real part of our family. The implication that my future adopted child wouldn't be real family hit like a physical blow. I turned and walked out, ignoring their calls after me. Driving home to my empty apartment, I let the tears finally fall. 10 years of hoping, planning, saving, gone because my sister's desire for a biological child trumped my dreams of adoption. Again. But when I opened my door, there was a surprise waiting. A letter slipped under by my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Peterson. This came for you special delivery, her note read. The courier was quite insistent. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, with my name written in familiar handwriting. My grandmother's handwriting. But that was impossible. Grandma Rose had passed away 6 months ago. With trembling fingers, I opened it. Inside was a letter dated just weeks before her death, and a sealed envelope marked open only if they take the adoption fund. My heart stopped. How had she known? My dearest Emily, the letter began. If you're reading this, then your parents have done exactly what I feared they would. They've taken your adoption fund for Kate's treatments. I sank onto my couch, stunned. The letter continued. I've watched for years as they dismissed your dreams, prioritized Kate's desires, and treated your wish to adopt as somehow less valuable. It broke my heart to see you silently accepting their judgment, saving every penny while they poured resources into Kate's fertility treatments. Tears blurred my vision as I read on. But I want you to know something, my darling girl. I saw you. I saw your strength, your determination, your capacity for love. When you told me at 16 that you couldn't carry a child, and instead of despairing, you immediately started researching adoption, that's when I knew you would be an extraordinary mother. My hands shook as I reached for the sealed envelope. In this envelope, you'll find documents for a trust I set up in your name. I knew your parents might try to take your adoption fund. They've always favored Kate's traditional path over your chosen one. So I made arrangements. The trust can only be used for adoption expenses, and only you can access it. I opened the sealed envelope and several official-looking documents fell out. But it was the bank statement that made me gasp. $250,000. Consider it 10 years of birthday and Christmas gifts I would have given your child. The letter concluded. Don't let them dim your light, Emily. Don't let them make you believe your path to motherhood is any less valuable than Kate's. But be the mother I know you're meant to be. All my love, Grandma Rose. I sat there in my quiet apartment, holding the proof that at least one person in my family had truly seen me, had valued my dreams enough to protect them. Tomorrow, I would have to decide how to handle my parents' betrayal, how to move forward with the knowledge of what they'd done. But tonight, I held my grandmother's letter close and let myself feel something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. The next morning, my phone was flooded with messages. Mom had sent a dozen texts ranging from guilt trips to outright demands that I stop being difficult about the money. Kate had left voicemails, each more condescending than the last, about how I was ruining her chances at happiness. Even Dad, who usually stayed out of family drama, had emailed about my disappointing behavior. I ignored them all and called my adoption agency instead. Emily, Sandra, my adoption coordinator, greeted me warmly. "I was just about to call you. We have a situation that might interest you." My heart skipped. "What kind of situation?" "A young mother, 19, 7 months pregnant. She saw your profile last week and specifically asked about you. Would you be interested in meeting her?" I thought about the trust fund documents sitting on my kitchen counter, about Grandma Rose's faith in me. "Yes," I said firmly. "I would love to meet her." Later that afternoon, I sat in a small coffee shop, nervously waiting to meet Jessica, the young woman carrying the baby that could potentially become my child. When she walked in, her hand resting protectively on her rounded belly, I felt immediate connection. "I liked what you wrote in your profile," she said after we'd settled with our drinks. "About how family isn't about blood, it's about love. That's how I want my baby to be raised." We talked for hours. Jessica was smart, thoughtful, and absolutely certain about her decision to place her baby for adoption. By the time we said goodbye, we had agreed to move forward together. I was floating on air when I left the coffee shop, until I saw Kate leaning against my car. "Mom's crying, she said without preamble. "She can't believe you're being so selfish about this." I took a deep breath. "I'm not having this conversation, Kate." "The money's already spent anyway," she continued as if I hadn't spoken. "My next treatment is scheduled for next week. You might as well stop sulking and be supportive." "Like you've been supportive of my adoption plans?" I asked quietly. She waved dismissively. "That's different. This is about having a real baby, continuing our family line. Mom and Dad understand that." "My child will be real," I said, my voice firm. "And thanks to Grandma Rose, they'll be here sooner than you think." Kate's eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" I smiled, thinking of Jessica and the baby growing in her belly. "It means I have options you don't know about." "Is this about Grandma's letter?" she demanded. "Mom said Mrs. Peterson mentioned something about a special delivery. What did she leave you?" "That's between me and Grandma Rose." Kate's face flushed. "Everything was supposed to be split equally in her will. If she left you something extra, that's not fair." I thought about all the years of unequal treatment, of my parents pouring resources into Kate's fertility treatments while dismissing my adoption plans. "Fair," I laughed. "You want to talk about fair?" "Mom and Dad need to know about this," she threatened, pulling out her phone. "Go ahead," I said calmly. Tell them. Tell them that Grandma Rose believed in my dreams enough to protect them. Tell them that while they were stealing my adoption fund, she was making sure I'd still have a chance at motherhood." Kate's hand trembled as she lowered her phone. "You're lying. Grandma wouldn't have played favorites like that." "She didn't play favorites," I corrected her. "She played fair, actually fair, not your version of it. She saw what was happening and made sure my path to motherhood was protected, just like Mom and Dad protected yours." "I need that money more than you do," Kate burst out. "This is my last chance." "No," I said firmly. "What you need is to accept that you don't get to dictate how I become a mother. What you need is to understand that your desire for a biological child doesn't trump my dreams of adoption." I unlocked my car, sliding into the driver's seat. "By the way," I added through the window, "I just met with an expectant mother who's chosen me to adopt her baby. She's due in 2 months. I thought you should know you're going to be an aunt. For real this time." The look of shock on Kate's face as I drove away was something I'll never forget. By the time I got home, my phone was ringing with calls from my parents, but I ignored them. Instead, I took out Grandma Rose's letter and read it again, drawing strength from her words. Tomorrow, I would deal with my family's reaction. Tomorrow, I would start setting firm boundaries and making it clear that their behavior would no longer be tolerated. Tomorrow, I would begin preparing for my baby's arrival. But tonight, I sat in my quiet apartment and wrote a letter of my own. to my future child, telling them about their great-grandma Rose, who believed in love more than blood, and who made sure that we would find each other. 2 months passed in a whirlwind of preparation. I painted the nursery a soft sage green, filled it with children's books and handmade blankets, and spent every free moment getting ready for my baby's arrival. Jessica and I grew closer, meeting weekly for lunch and sharing hopes for the future. My parents' reaction to the news was exactly what I expected. Mom showed up at my door unannounced, oscillating between tears and accusations. "How could you move forward with adoption without consulting us?" she demanded. "And what's this about a secret trust from your grandmother?" "I don't need to consult you about my path to motherhood," I replied calmly. "And Grandma Rose made her choices, just like you made yours." Dad tried a different approach, calling with a business-like proposition. "Look, Princess, maybe we can work something out. You could share the trust money, help your sister, and still have enough left for adoption later." "No," I said firmly. "The trust is for adoption expenses only. Grandma Rose made sure of that." Kate's IVF treatment failed again, leading to another round of guilt trips. "If you had helped, maybe it would have worked this time," she sobbed over the phone. "This is partly your fault." I let her words wash over me without sticking. My focus was on the future, and my babies. Then, on a sunny Tuesday morning, Jessica went into labor. I rushed to the hospital, my heart pounding with equal parts excitement and nerves. 12 hours later, I held my daughter for the first time. Looking down at her perfect face, I whispered, "Hello, Rose." Jessica smiled tiredly from her hospital bed. "Rose, that's beautiful." The next day, as I was completing the adoption paperwork, my parents and Kate showed up at the hospital. Mom burst into tears when she saw the baby, while Dad stood awkwardly by the door. Kate hung back, her face unreadable. "She's gorgeous," Mom whispered, reaching for Rose. But I didn't hand her over. "Before you hold her," I said quietly but firmly, "we need to be clear about something. Rose is my daughter. Not your do-over baby, not Kate's substitute, not a consolation prize. Mine, and if you want to be part of her life, things need to change." "What do you mean?" Dad asked. "I mean no more dismissing adoption as second best. No more comments about real family or blood relations. No more trying to control my choices or steal my money. Rose deserves better than that, and so do I." Kate stepped forward, surprising me by speaking up. "She's right," she said softly. I've been awful about this. Seeing her now, she's perfect, Emily. She's your daughter." Mom dabbed at her eyes. "But we're still her grandparents. We still want to be involved." "Then prove it," I said. "Show me you can respect my choices, support my path, and love Rose for exactly who she is. My daughter, chosen through love rather than born through blood." Looking down at Rose's sleeping face, Mom nodded slowly. "We can do that. We will do that." Over the next few weeks, something shifted in my family dynamic. Mom stopped pushing Kate's fertility struggles into every conversation. Dad started asking genuine questions about adoption and bonding. And Kate surprised me the most. She came over one afternoon, bringing a handmade blanket for Rose. "I've been seeing a therapist," she admitted, "working through some things. I realized I've been so focused on having a baby that I forgot about being a sister or an aunt." Rose grabbed her finger, and Kate's eyes filled with tears. "She's amazing, Emily. You're amazing. I'm sorry I couldn't see that before." 6 months later, we gathered at my house for Rose's naming ceremony. As I looked around at my family, Mom and Dad beaming proudly, Kate taking photos, Jessica and her family joining us as extended relations, I felt Grandma Rose's presence strongly. On a mantel sat her picture, and next to it, in a frame, the letter that had changed everything. My mother paused by it, reading the words she'd never seen before. "Mom always did see things clearly," she said quietly. "She saw you, Emily, when we were too blind to look. Thank you for giving us the chance to see you now." Rose chose that moment to let out a happy squeal, drawing everyone's attention. As my family gathered around her, their faces full of genuine love and joy, I silently thanked Grandma Rose for her gift. Not just the trust fund that had made this possible, but the wisdom to know that sometimes love needs a little help to find its way. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I rocked Rose to sleep in the nursery painted sage green. "Your great-grandma Rose would have adored you," I whispered. "She knew you were meant to be mine even before I found you. and she made sure nothing would stand in our way. Rose sighed contentedly in her sleep, and I smiled, knowing that while my path to motherhood hadn't been traditional, it had led me exactly where I was meant to be. Sometimes the best families aren't the ones we're born into, but the ones we choose and the ones who choose us right back.